Welcome everyone to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I am your hardcore host Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. First, he's from Lance Moss TV. He's the incomparable Lance Moss. Lance, what's going on?
Not too much, just having some fun.
And we will be shortly joined by the Lord Skull himself, Joseph Knight from Skulldon Realms. But we're gonna just talk about a few small subjects until Joe joins us.
I'm here. I'm here.
Oh, hey, Joe. It's all right. Joe's back. We were off for a while, and
Yeah.
so we're gonna talk a little bit. And I want to start off with uh, Darren Droz, who passed away at the age of 54. Um, a lot of us know who Droz was. Some others may not have, but we're just going to go over quickly. Uh, Droz started his career in the late 90s in the WWE. His first gimmick was as Puke, where he had the ability to vomit on command. He then joined Legion of Doom with Hawk and Animal, and they became Legion of Doom LOD 2000. Then in 1999, his career was suddenly cut short when he'd fractured his vertebrae in his neck against during a match against D'Lo Brown.
D'Lo Brown.
Thank you. I can't speak today. Although he can never walk again, Droz stayed with the company and even behind the scenes and did journalism for the company. Despite even that, Droz still had a happy attitude about everything, positive, and never had held D'Lo or the company or anybody else responsible for that horrible injury. Joe, your thoughts?
This is the guy would be considered a class act. And what a class act is, you don't blame someone when it's a freak accident. Obviously, Droz, fell the wrong way. I know D'Lo felt really bad about it. And, he never took it out on anybody, never became that guy who was like, oh, basically I'm gonna blame everybody for my situation. No, that's not what this guy was about. So, Droz was a really good, kind-hearted guy. He really did a lot of stuff for the company. And, what other person can say when they got hired, all they had to do was fucking throw up in a bucket? He's gonna puke, and get paid a good amount of money in airtime. And then being part of the iconic Road Warriors, that's another, So it is a scenario where, his accident really took him out, and he was basically Christopher Reeve at that point. But he never let it get him down. He always, you could see in interviews and stuff, he always had that positive attitude because, that's the type of person he is. It's just a shame that we lost another good person in this world and keeping all the garbage what we have today. One thing that's also, I look at it, Rick, as that is something that all the high-flying spot monkeys today should look at that and say, okay, be careful what we do, because a freak accident can happen and you can be injured like Droz, or like the numerous other wrestlers that go into a ring and they all these flippity flips and they get injured. That should be a lesson. Don't do flippity flips if you haven't practiced it, and too much of it, it's going to kill yourself. I want to see probably when they all hit their 40s or 50s, you're going to see all the AEW guys in wheelchairs because they wouldn't be able, of all the shit that they do.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Lance, over to you. Your thoughts?
Well, I mean, look, the accident was a spot D'Lo had done probably thousands of times. I believe it was just his typical running power bomb,
Yes.
and it was just a freak accident.
Well, what had
And
happened, I read, is that apparently when when he did the move, there was something slippery on the mat,
yeah,
and that's where and his neck draws his neck slipped backwards. But go
yeah.
ahead.
Now him staying positive and everything, it's wonderful. Now I've seen some of the his pictures of him in his wheelchair. This is gonna sound so bad, but it looks like he's driving a zero turn,
Oh.
like one of those zero turn lawnmowers.
Yeah. Oh. And the funny thing is, we've seen a lot of other people who've had their necks broken due to bad
Yeah,
spots. You know, uh, TJ Kidd from WWE. He had a match with Samoa Joe, and he did just a muscle buster, and he's like, out permanently. So Tyson
Well,
Kidd.
here's another one too. Here's back and during the Shawn Michaels Marty Jannetty rocker days when they did a bad rocker dropper on a jobber, and the jobber got injured and paralyzed.
Yeah.
So people can say wrestling is you know pretty much all choreography. It's all fake. No, it has its outcomes. It has its predestined outcomes.
but
But
boxing isn't, is it?
it all depends on which
Yeah,
boxing you see.
yeah.
It depends, and I say that in a jestful way because they do have stage boxing. Take a dive in this round, okay? But and other things is these guys take punishment. I've been in the business long enough to see guys, even myself, take injuries and by doing the most simplest things. And I seen workers, and I was a manager. I had my ribs bandaged because they were bruised. I blew out my left knee, just like Jimmy Cornette. Everybody gets in there and they get hurt. So it comes to a point that people don't understand the most slightest thing. Anything can happen at any moment, and nobody seems to like the indie kids today don't seem to understand that.
Yeah, and you know what? That just seems to be the case. And I mean, another wrestler who was like had his neck broken recently, and that's Big E. And he's even talked on a couple of shows where he said he might come back, he might not come back. So he's still, I guess, when you have your neck broken, that puts your future in perspective. You know. So, all right, you know what? We're gonna move along. And so, a man named Chase is reportedly stalking Ryback. Chase is also known to stalk other wrestlers, including Dolph Ziggler and Curtis Axel.
Is
Apparently,
Chase gay?
yeah, his full name is Brandon Chase, and some of the long name, I think he's Arab. I don't know, uh, but I couldn't pronounce it, so I was like, okay. But apparently, this stalker has made lethal threats to the named wrestlers via Twitter, and has also went on Ryback's podcast, and not only threatened him, but also threatened his mother to kill his mother. So Chase had continued to call Ryback, um, and actually, I guess the big guy was actually to trick him to giving his name. So Ryback contacted the FBI, but unfortunately, they can't seem to track him down. He just so he's kind of like in the crazy but not stupid department, Joe.
Yeah, here's the funny thing. He picked the wrong person. If you're gonna bomb someone's career, have to do with the person didn't bomb his own career. You know, so Ryback is not the person you want to freaking bother with because he's a nobody at this point. But it's not, here we go again. You're stalking freaking people. Eventually, this shit will it's gonna hit you. Eventually somehow this will get you. And when you're picking on someone like Ryback, who I fucking don't know why, it's not like his career is shining, you know, and this is sick individuals. This is what today's generation is creating. This is what we have today. It's it's insane people. Now, why out of all people you're picking on wrestlers? Eventually, you're gonna bump into the wrong person, and they're gonna give you a fucking beating that you're gonna cry like a trans, and you're gonna be thrown into a cell with Bubba, and they're gonna really teach you a lesson. So I don't get it. I don't see why stalk people, especially somebody as low as Ryback. What the fuck? It's not like Ryback's making $1 million. Come on now.
Yeah, but the problem is these wrestlers, these like stalking fans, they're not sane. I mean, remember last year there was that guy who was at
Sonya Deville.
Oh yeah, well Sonya Deville who's tried to kidnap her.
Yeah.
And then
the reason he was kidnapping her because it was raining hard. He needed to stand under her nose.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Oh shit! Look, I could bring a couple more friends on the guys. Come on. Well, they all. It's like who got the biggest boobs in wrestling today? It's like let's go hide under her boobs so we can get shelter. But honestly, it's like yes, these are sick individuals. Yes, these people are dangerous. This is the current theme in today's world, unfortunately. Thank you, Democrats and liberals, for creating this fucked up world or fucked up country. I would have told if I was up Ryback, I would have said, "Hey, yeah, come on over. Come on, we'll have some burgers. We'll talk." And the guy showed up, just pounced the piss out of him. And then he can gore, whatever the fuck he used to do, and whatever the fucking phrase he used to have. Eat some more, or whatever. Eat some s'mores.
Feed me more is what it was.
Feed me more. There you go. He could have gone full cannibalism and just eat the guy. That would have saved the world press time.
Well, again, we're talking another fan that was stalking. Remember that moron who was at the performance center, and he was like flexing. And the security was just recording it, and they were laughing at him because he's just like, "Come on, let me in and show you these big guns of mine." And I guess like a few minutes later, he goes in the corner and he pisses on the parking lot. I mean, jeez. I don't remember the guy's name, but again, these are just the weirdos that unfortunately comes in this, in the part of wrestling. So
you know what? And it's just not in wrestling. It's in real life, other entertainers. In business as well. They just got these individuals who freaking just, I guess, I don't know. It just, again, this is today's people, society. It's a weird society. You could tell looking at that picture of him and Daddy? That's why he's stalking him, Daddy? They almost look alike. Maybe.
Maybe that was one of these stalking.
Yeah, it's like, stalk me more. Okay, feed me more. Fuck you. You know what? Do me a favor, dude. Stop stalking people. If you're gonna stalk somebody, stalk some Democrats, please. Go after Joe Biden. You can probably confuse him enough.
Oh Jesus! I want to welcome Terry 3G, who's been on the show. He said, "Hey, Ryback is always saying feed me more. Well, Chase is there to feed him." And that pretty much sounds like the case. So we're going to move on.
Yeah, let's move on. That face is disturbing. Ryback Jr. is starting to disturb me. Even though I'm mentally already disturbed, people.
That's true. Last week at Forbidden Door, Jungle Boy Jack Perry turned on Hook and is now a heel. Lance, I got to ask you, is this the right idea?
Well, he needs to take some acting classes.
Yeah, I saw his performance with his first heel promo, and I'm like, I'm not buying this. He just sounds like a somebody who's just whining and complaining, and not like a J.
You know what? Okay, Jungle Boy, Jack, Mr. Perry. go find out who your dad's old acting coach is. Talk to them, then come back and do this heel shit.
All right. Joe, your thoughts on Jack Perry turning heel?
This is an attempt to just add more heels to a roster. And when you've been a good guy pretty much all your career, and I don't remember, Jungle Boy in any other indie fed or anything like that.
No.
He was always been AEW. When you're basically been a good guy and fighting the right cause, going up against the old tag partner and Christian. Now it kind of like, okay, if I would have done this, I would have had done it like, okay, Christian comes out, hugs him. I'm glad you finally saw the light, and the tag team of Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are back together. We're gonna go dominate, and that's what needed to happen. The whiny Jungle Boy, and then him saying to us like, he's sleeping with whatever the girlfriend is, the Anna J. Like, fuck, so what? Not gonna hurt me if you're sleeping with Anna J. It's not like all of us gonna have a chance at her. So fuck you when it comes to that.
I think he said that I'm paraphrasing. I think he says, I'm still banging the hottest bitch in this company.
Yeah,
that's the exact quote.
Yeah, that's the quote. And it's like, yeah, and
now I do have kind of an idea of a gimmick that would work for him.
Okay.
Kind of play off of his dad in the 90s, where he's the heartthrob, but be a dipshit heartthrob who thinks he's a heartthrob, but he's really still Jack Perry.
I don't know. That's really confusing for me. I try I'm trying to put that in my head and.
Well, he thinks he's Mr. Suave Casanova, but he's really fucking not.
Yeah.
Well,
just enough to piss the crowd off. If he's going
here's the problem when it comes to that character. He's Jungle Boy. He's like Tarzan from the.
You'll have to get rid of the Jungle Boy name. Go with Heartthrob Jack Perry or some bullshit.
That'll require a whole transformation.
Exactly.
Go up, hell, go up, fake, get injured, go back to California for a month or two, and then come back with this new gimmick.
Well,
he needs to put on at least 50 more pounds, build up his body to be taken seriously.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Harry 3G says Jungle Boy 90210.
I saw
exactly.
That. Which is a good idea, but let me look at it like this. If I saw Jungle Boy and he's a bad guy, I'm gonna laugh my ass off because he's a skinny kid that you could just fucking clock and he'll drop to the floor. He needs to put on more weight. He needs to put on more muscle. He needs to be, that Jack Perry who's going to come out. Sounds like a fucking detective, old school 1930 Dick Tracy detective. He needs to come out and actually if he's going to stick to this gimmick, he's going to stick to the heel Jungle Boy, like the heel Jimmy Snuka. Go back to Christian. Go back with Luchasaurus. Work whatever tags and singles. Have a mouthpiece because Jack, you can't fucking talk for shit. You can do the moves, but you fucking can't talk. This is today's fucking wrestling. None of these guys can fucking know how to talk except for MJF.
Yeah, and right now, when you look at Jack Perry, this gimmick, he looks like he's already trying to shed the entire gimmick. Even when he came out, he cut the music off and he says, I don't want to hear that music ever again. Yeah. So it looks like he's doing a full transition into his next character. And, that can make or break him.
Yeah.
Tony Khan is probably telling him, oh, geez, thanks telling us to do that now after spending fucking millions to get the fucking music from you so people can go, oh, you fucking idiot.
Well, you have to wonder whose question was it for, to make Jack turn heel.
Oh, it's probably creative, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think that was his call, but all right, we're gonna move along here. Dominic Mysterio has recently been labeled with a new moniker, Dirty Dominic. That sounds interesting. However, the wrestling legend Dirty Dutch Mantel called the WWE out for stealing his moniker. In short, Mantel called out the WWE for the lack of creativity. And you know what, Lance? This is the second time we've seen in recent time that where WWE has taken somebody else's gimmick or moniker and
Yeah.
modernized it.
Yeah, I mean, first was with that lying bitch, Lacey Evans.
Yep.
I have my own problem, y'all know, but fucking bitch. Yeah, and now with the Dutch man, don't fuck. Okay, WWE, come up with new gimmick names. Quit stealing old ones. What's next? There's gonna be a new king of wrestling in your company again.
Well, they have the king of the ring, so I wouldn't be surprised. That's but they also have it's just strange. Joe, did they really need this name, Dirty Dominic, or is it or is Dutch Mantel, kind of being pissed off over something that's not really no big deal?
You know what? If it's not us that remembers Dirty Dutch Mantel, who today really remembers Dutch Mantel? I'm not knocking Dutch Mantel. I like him. He has a very creative mind. He's been a wrestler. He's been a booker. He's been a promoter. He's done a lot in this. He's been a manager. So, for something like Dominic Mysterio being called Dutch, if he came out with the handlebar mustache, which he obviously can't do,
Yet.
Well, he tries, but
obviously, I think this is just overblown, and they need to just not get so hype about it. It's again, when you see stuff like this, it's not Dutch is not real. This is not like nobody cares. It's just trying to push Dominic Mysterio because his character's kind of sucking right now. First, they were going for the Eddie Guerrero thing where he does the whole all LA and all that stuff, and the poppy, but it didn't work. So now let's try this. Let's see if this fucking
what's
works.
next? Diamond Dominic Mysterio or some shit?
Can you imagine that? That'll probably work. And he goes, feel
Dallas
the bang.
His ass for that shit.
Well, he'd have to get like grow his hair out and bleach blonde it, and maybe get a perm.
You know what would be funny too when he says feel the bang? Freaking Rhea Ripley's in front of him, bent over.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind feeling that bang once or twice.
Yeah.
Here's a question I want to tell you guys. I know, Rick, you can continue with the topic, but I want one question.
Yep.
Rhea Ripley before or after the goth look?
I'd have to say
Which
both.
one?
Okay, well, if you can put me...
Do you mean the pre-goth? Do you mean the no-fan WrestleMania Ripley?
The long blonde hair looking. Okay.
I got to go goth look. I got to go goth look.
I got to go with the goth look. I mean, she was cute, but, since she did the goth look, she's absolutely sexy.
No. Yeah, that's kind of my thing, too. I see it. I would love for her to grow out her hair longer, but everything else, the makeup, it suits her. I just throw that in there. See, when we talk about Dominic Mysterio, we really need to talk about Rhea Ripley, because if it wasn't for Rhea Ripley, Dominic Mysterio wouldn't be where he is right now.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, moving along. Now, this past Saturday at Money in the Bank, John Cena made an appearance to promote having WrestleMania in the UK, WrestleMania 41 in the UK. Grayson Waller, who just got called up from the NXT, challenged Cena to a match at WrestleMania 41. Now, here's the funny thing. Okay, Michael Cole said this was a big fight feel match. And it's a match that's going to be over a year away. Who the fuck is this guy? Lance, how can you call a big fight feel versus John Cena versus somebody who just is coming up in the ranks?
That's a good damn question that I don't have an answer for, because last I heard, this motherfucker had a broke leg.
Yeah. And Well, the thing is, we had this conversation. I was talking with Billy while we were watching Money in the Bank, and he completely disagreed with me, Joe. He said that because if John Cena's in a match, it's instantly a big fight field no matter who he fights. Does that make any sense?
Well, put it like this: everybody would love to see the nostalgia for John Cena is still there, but the opponent's got to meet that. Got to have. I would have. Let me just put it like this: in order to have that big fight feel, that guy, whoever you said was, because I don't know who the fuck he is, he has to at least be on the level of an Austin Theory to even matter in this thing.
Well,
He has to be the level of I hate to say it, Solo Sika, whatever the fuck his name is, Samoa Bolo, no, whatever.
no, you're right.
Yeah.
Solo
So
Sikoa, yeah.
yeah, I want to drink a Solo cola, or cola, whatever. Fuck, whatever. But you have to be in that level for the match to mean something. If you're in the bottom, I can understand that they're trying to build this guy up and kind of put him. But again, what the fuck? What have you done? What have you really done? Okay, you're gonna challenge a legend, it's put in his own mind, but a legend nonetheless, in John Cena. And let's face it, people are gonna be like, okay, we're here for Cena. Who are you?
Well,
Did you just come in to clean put it like this,
yeah.
Bad Bunny versus John Cena will probably get more pop than whoever this guy is.
Yeah, it's Grayson Waller, and like I said, it's gonna be WrestleMania 41. So not next year's WrestleMania, but the year after. So it's 2025,
And
and
that's if they don't forget about the match.
yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, and also, well, the big rumor for that one, with John Cena for the pop, was they wanted to bring WrestleMania up into London. So I'm guessing they want to beat out Wembley Stadium's AEW's record that they're going to come in.
Yes. Yes, there are reports out there that WWE did look at the numbers from WrestleMania, from AEW's pay-per-view out there, and they are considering just topping that and going to Wembley and doing it, because Wembley has an open contract. They could take any promotion as long as you're paying for it. So you saw already, you have this guy, you have this promotion come in and do a great business, because even Eric Bischoff said once, if you're an American company and you're competing here, it's kind of a little tough going up against WWE. You go overseas to Europe, England, any of those countries over there, and nobody has really legit big company wrestling except for New Japan and All Japan.
Yeah.
But as far as England, I don't think there's an England Championship Wrestling or whatever.
And the closest they got is I think Insane Championship Wrestling.
Right. But if a bigger company like AEW, WWE comes over, boom, it's big. So that's going to be that's a big feel. So, when you look at John Cena and this match, obviously this is going to be the guy who either maybe in 6 months from now be handed his walking papers, or he'll be given a gimmick at somebody's caddy or something. You never know with WWE. With that haircut, he looks like freaking EC3's junior. So this match will be long forgotten. Cena will come out with a walker and says, "Okay, I'm gonna fight," and that's if the world is still going, folks. If we haven't been obliterated by aliens. I was waiting this 4th of July to see if Will Smith finds the aliens, but he didn't. So fuck him too. But this match, no. This is a no. This is a time saver just to get the show over, to get Cena over, and maybe to give this guy a little bit of a rub just to see how far he goes. Gee, did I just kill you both?
I'm here.
Okay.
Hello? You get me?
Yeah, we got you, bro.
Yeah. So my issue was I didn't have no problem. I can understand why they want to go to England for WrestleMania, but why for the WrestleMania 41 when there's still a WrestleMania, for next year? It's it's ridiculous. I never understood why they have to promote a pay-per-view 2 years away. it never made sense to me.
It does make sense to see how much it generates.
Yeah.
Again, this is where in business, you want to see how far this is going to go. Imagine they could probably sell tickets now, and there'll be marks that will buy the fucking tickets. I got a WrestleMania ticket for 2 more years. I still got to wait. So there are
Shit.
people.
Mania is supposed to be in Nashville, I think, in 2027. And I'm here in Memphis. I'm gonna do my damnedest when those things go on, so to try to have the money saved up to go.
Yeah, see, there you go. They're pre-planning this just to see how much revenue and interest they can get on it. It's not because of this match, honestly, because this match fucking doesn't really mean
It's
shit.
because, like you said, it's overseas. Even Impact, several years ago, when they were going over to England, they had packed shows every single night. They did tours, and that's where they made most of their revenue.
And what John Cena said in the ring and what they said at the press conference, two different, or the post-show scrum, two different damn things.
Yeah.
It was something like, "Oh, yeah, we've thought about doing Mania in England, but nothing's set in stone right now."
So you think
again, this is marketing. This is marketing 101 where you want to learn.
Yeah.
I think it's just a tease right now.
All right. Well, let's move along. Drew McIntyre also made his return to WWE's Money in the Bank this past Saturday. McIntyre has not been seen on TV for several weeks. Several sites had reported time and time again that McIntyre and WWE were at odds due to contract renewal. Other reports stated that McIntyre was just nursing an injury, and his current contract expires in 2024. So, Joe, let me ask you, did Drew make amends with WWE, or was this an injury, or what's going on?
Obviously, he was holding out for more money, and WWE said, okay, fine. We're not going to let a top star that we have go off, someplace else. It's very rare when an individual this reported that they were having contract disputes, and then all of a sudden then it's another thing when it comes to he's back. Obviously this is for money, and we're talking WWE today where it is big money cash now. Everybody wants to make money, and in this ordeal, he probably saw that the contract wasn't going nowhere. He probably saw his career really at that point. Let's admit it, that his career was, you've done it all. What else can you do? It's at this scenario where you want to sit back and you want to think how this is going to work. So he obviously he took the time off. Probably did nurse a couple of injuries, but at the same time renegotiate his contract. Hey, I want to have more money. Hell, they've got Bad Bunny. They got all these other idiots that they bring in. So why not ask for more money? Drew's is still a commodity. Drew's got the look. He's got the moves. He's still entertaining. Promo-wise, he needs, he has the accent, which is, he's got that movie Hollywood look that you probably want. So obviously, imagine him going to AEW. You might as well just hand him the fucking belt because he's so better than everybody else in that company. No, unfortunately, I'm not saying that because I'm picking on like Darby Allin or all, but it's a fact.
I don't know. I could argue with that one because you still have like MJF, Chris Jericho, obviously over there, Kenny Omega. These are some of the matches I'd like to see. Would I say he's better than all of them? There are some wrestlers that are like a stepping stones. We talked about Jack Perry, as you said, Darby Allin. They're great wrestlers, but unfortunately, they're not going to be top named wrestlers no time soon, anytime soon. So,
exactly.
Lance, what's your thoughts on Drew McIntyre's return of Money in the Bank?
About damn time. And also, I heard something like Endeavor wasn't even interested in renegotiating just yet because he had so much time left on this contract, and they might extend it because he has been out so long.
And that's another thing that even the WWE did even before they signed with Endeavor. So that's another possibility. We could see him staying past his contract. So we're gonna move on again. There's actually a point. Apparently, AEW Collisions continues to suffer due to poor ratings. The third week in a row, AEW's on Collision only had less than 500,000 views overnight. Last week, it was just under 600,000. This week's key demo for AEW was .13, and that's down from last week's 21. Joe, AEW is just sinking. The Collision is like just starting to like blow up.
Well, the CM Punk experiment sure didn't work here. Can't that Cena juice didn't help at all. But again, remember Thunder, WCW Thunder. It was a great concept, but then when you have your show, your main show, and then a supplement second show, you got Raw and SmackDown. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You got to really figure out how you're going to pack these shows and what's going to make it different. With AEW, it's basically what can you do here that you already did here? That's the problem with this whole having a second show. WWE,
a third show, actually.
A third show.
Yeah.
I think AEW is spreading themselves thin here. They're going on too much, trying to see if they can capture as much as they can. WCW had the problem with Thunder. You got to come with something big and keep it on that show that it's going to attract viewers to that show. That's what AEW haven't gotten yet. They don't look at this and say, okay, we've got this show. It's great. It's awesome. It's this. But honestly, it's one of those things where you just sit back and you say, okay, what now? Everybody who's appeared on Collision has appeared over here.
Yeah.
They need to break away from that, and they need to say, okay, you know what? Boom, this is what we're looking at. So honestly, I think in the scenario that we're seeing now, they're going to have to do something that can really upgrade this product.
Well, I think it's not necessarily the product itself. I think it's more the timeline. It's, you got to figure two things. First, it's on a Saturday afternoon or a Saturday evening. And it's summer. Most people are usually out during the summer.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So that's another reason. I have Collision on DVR because I do watch it, and it is a good show despite CM Punk being on there being a little arrogant prick. But I think what they should have done was taken Rampage, and they should have upped that 2 hours. I don't know if I want to see Dynamite for 3 hours, but if they had just started with that, I think that would have been a nice start. Just give Rampage that 1 extra hour. Lance, your thoughts on all this?
Too much, too damn quick. I mean, okay, let's face it. This company has been in existence for, whether you want to say the company started around SummerSlam of 2019 or start of October 2019, whichever. But here's the thing. You go from having 2 hours a week to then 3, okay, then 5 in the span of 4 years. That's too damn quick. Hell, I've seen enough shoot interviews to know having to do that much storyline making in a week will burn anybody out. And from what I understand, the main yes-no guy backstage is still Tony. And, well, long story short, like you said, a lot of people are doing shit at 7, 8 Eastern on a Saturday. So this dude just shit in his nest.
Yeah,
Yep. And another thing, Rick, is he's counting on the nostalgia of a Saturday 6:05 type show.
yeah,
And again, this is a big difference from the wrestling of the 80s. Even at that time slot, NWA Jim Crockett Promotions used to have really a tough time on TBS because, again, it is one of those things where it's the summer, it's nice, before we're all doomed. Everybody wants to go out and have fun and get out there. That's the main thing. And unfortunately, in a society today that can't fucking really uh, keep focused for 5 minutes, he's expecting these people to watch a wrestling show and see the same people. Oh, well, you know what? I don't need to see this today because I could just see it you know, when they do Dynamite. So when you look at the show, they don't have no distinction. What they need to do is they need to separate the roster, make it totally different, keep it over there. I hate to say it, kind of the Raw SmackDown thing, and just have maybe a different champions, maybe a television champion over there. Maybe the TBS championship, the women's champion should be there. Have the tag titles float back and forth. You know, make it different so people give a damn about that show. Why would I want to see a show that I'm going to see the repeat here on Dynamite? You know,
well, I wouldn't say you
it's
see
no
a
it's
repeat
no
because
different.
it's they don't have an exclusive roster,
Yeah.
but they do have in between. They do have like certain wrestlers that stay on one particular show, and I don't think that's just by choice. I think it's just one of those situations that they seem to get more focus time on. And over in the chat room, real quick, um, Reverend Jake Slayer says, "Blame it on Phil." And you know what? That's the easiest answer. I can always blame everything on Phil. You know what? I blame my phone bill on Phil. I blame my cable bill on Phil. And Terry3G said, and Abaddon still isn't on any of the shows.
I know.
Is Abaddon
Yeah.
still with the company?
Yeah.
She is.
She is. That's interesting.
Yes. Yeah, but she does a lot more indie stuff now. But she uses AEW. It's like before Dark got taken off and turned off, went dark. She was appearing on that a lot. So maybe they're moving her to Ring of Honor. We don't know. But honestly, I think what they need to do is, again, they have enough roster, Rick. They do. They do have a huge roster. There's just so many people. They got Swerve. They got what's his name, Brian Lee or whatever the fuck is the big guy. I forgot his name. You know, they have Brian Cage. They have a lot of people. They should just exclusively put them in one show and then the other. When you have everybody all jumbled in one show and you have the repeats like FTR. I love FTR. They're the old school tag team, but when you see too much of them, you get bored. The Elite, you see too much of them, you get bored. CM Punk, when you see him, you get bored. It's like
I get bored when I see him once a month.
Exactly. So you need to put other people and fill that roster and kind of distinct, make a distinction like who's going to be better. Like why, if Chris Jericho's a dominant on Dynamite, I don't want to see him on Collision because I know I'm going to see him on Dynamite. It's overkill. Same thing with MJF. It's overkill. And plus, you're overexposing your people. People get tired of that too quick. Less history lesson, folks. Thank you, Keith Lee. I knew it was somebody with Lee. It wasn't Bruce Lee, so it had to be Keith Lee. So, back in WCW, imagine how tired we were of watching the NWO. When it was the 4 guys, it was great.
But then there were 25 guys. It was like, okay.
Yeah. When it was half the damn roster.
And then it became a situation that it was, okay, this is a big group. They're going to dominate. But when you saw them week after week after week, now it becomes, all right, go ahead and beat the jobber of the day, beat the whoever, go ahead, come on, let's go and let's move on. That's what happened. Then you saw everybody jump from WCW to WWF, and look where it happened to them.
Well,
You know,
actually, what happened there was Bischoff did something stupid and said, "Hey, Tony Schiavone, tell them that Cactus Jack is going to win the title on the other show," not knowing the fans love Cactus.
well, but you throw that aside. The other part of that was that he was, you know, showcasing the prominent top talent too much and not giving the
Yeah.
other guys a chance. You had the Guerreros, Benoits, you had Perry Saturn, you have Chris Jericho,
Booker
all the
T.
guys. I'm sorry,
Booker T. like Harlem Heat.
Booker T, and a couple other those guys. The Big Show. You know, you had all of these guys jump and go to this, and they became better stars over here.
Hell, Ray.
Yeah, Ray, thank you, Ray Mysterio.
Eddie
So,
Guerrero.
yeah, yep, there you go. So you got all these guys who were the backbone of the cruiserweight division, who were awesome, who were hot, and people love that. And then you mistreat them because you want to show the constant same people. They're gonna make that jump. AEW is now in that situation
Yeah.
where they show the same fucking talent every fucking week. If they're not wrestling, they're fucking talking. I don't care. I love MJF, but I don't want to see him every day. I like Kenny Omega and the Bucks. I don't want to see them every day. I don't want to see FTR every day. I don't want to see Darby Allin fucking every day or Sammy Guevara or these guys. No, they're your top commodities. Once or twice a month, fine. All right, keep them exclusive on one thing. Tony, listen to what I'm telling you. Take the other guys who are being buried here because you got these other guys. Toss them into Collision. Give them a push. Give them a belt. Make a belt somehow. That ought to make things work.
Well,
So
they
that's what it
also
looks.
he also has, of course, Ring of Honor. If you remember Diamante, who was on AEW, and we haven't seen her. She was over on Dark for a while, but apparently for the past like 4 or 5 months, she's been in Ring of Honor, and she was just what's called a tier 0, which means she was paid a certain amount of days. But Tony Khan actually signed her as a full-time wrestler because of everything she's doing in Ring of Honor. And I think that's another idea. A lot of those wrestlers over Ring of Honor, we sometimes see them jump over to either Collision, Rampage, or Dynamite when there's a big pay-per-view coming up. So. All right. Let's see what else we got here in the week of news. Oh yes, there have been rumors that claiming that the WWE is interested in signing Carlito. Carlito was last in the WWE at Backlash, where he did the run-in to help Bad Bunny, like we give a shit, the San Juan street fight against Damian Priest. Although Carlito's run-in, he got a huge pop. Carlito was also a guest on the Attitude Era podcast, and he was asked if he would ever sign with AEW, like we need more wrestlers in AEW. And pretty much he just said, sure, I wouldn't mind signing them, but he wants at least a 6-figure contract. Lance, let me ask you first a question. What's your thoughts on Carlito possibly signing with AEW, or should he?
I mean, if they want somebody, I'll put it this: not for on screen. If he wants to have an agent deal, okay, you know what? Or if he wants to do something like Goldust does or Dustin does, wrestle, I don't know, maybe 6 times a year, okay, but other than that, he's backstage handling an agent job, sure, but week in, week out, Carlito, that's not cool.
Joe, let me ask you: do you think Carlito is even worth a 6-figure check?
Oh fuck no! That's like me saying I'm fucking worth a 6-figure check. No, no offense to Carlito, he's a good worker. He's a decent promo guy. But its time has come. Let him collect whatever money he can from WWE. If the reason you're seeing these guys is because their current talent can't fucking get over, so they have to bring nostalgia in these guys, Cena, Carlito, Lita, Trish, but is he going to grab a 6-figure contract from you walk in and he's going to, oh yeah, I got a 6-figure contract. You think the workers backstage, again, so mentioned Darby Allin and all these other guys, are going to turn their heads and says, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, I'm just here just to say, hey, Tony, give me my money. You know how that's going to start a fucking, that's going to be WCW all over again. Here's another history lesson, guys. And I think Rick and Lance, you both know. Remember that contract that the outsiders had, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
Oh yeah.
Whenever somebody came in and they got a good pay, well, their pay got to go up because they got that special contract.
Yeah, because they had the favored nations clause in it, which, here's the thing, they would only match it if it was with certain individuals.
Correct.
Terry 3G in the chat room, he said Carlito's barely worth a bag of premium apples.
Exactly. You seen these apples nowadays? Fucking $13 a fucking bag. I better find a fucking golden apple in there somewhere.
Yeah, no kidding. Jesus.
But Rick, yeah, and I'll be generous to say, if you're gonna bring a guy with his experience in there, he'll be a hot commodity. And here's the thing, AEW will be smart if they used him for Puerto Rico. The famous Colon family, you're going to do a show over there, maybe you book a couple of the WWC guys, because they do have the little promotion out there still running, even though it's not what it used to be. That's the only reason you use Carlito. I'm sure that's the only reason that Vince and these guys will use Carlito for the nostalgia and to see if they could book a show in Puerto Rico every now and then. That's the only worth that you're going to get Carlito on. Is he worth 6 figures? No. He's not the amount that he's thinking. Yeah, maybe give him 100,000. I think that's decent for him. If he's going to do stuff and not just sit in the back chewing on an apple, fuck you. You're going to do stuff, you asshole. So, again, that's what you look for. But as a talent, as anything else, honestly, no, he's not worth the headache. You already have headaches with fucking Punk. You already have headaches with these other guys. You want to bring in a fucking other guy who's good, but not worth a Hogan salary or a Sting salary.
Yeah, absolutely. One last topic of the night before we take off. The Creed brothers lost a losers leaves NXT match against the Dyad. So it's not clear if they're being released or if they're moving up to the main roster. Now, Lance, I know you watch NXT a little bit more than I do. So can you tell us a little bit more about these Creed brothers?
Well, they're more of the technical style wrestlers. Think Alpha Academy, just without the bullshit gimmick.
Okay. Also like FTR.
Yeah.
Okay. So
now, from what I heard, the Dyads are the ones that actually want to leave the company.
Yeah, I remember. I think they asked for their release. Was it them who asked for release a couple of weeks ago and they got denied?
Yeah, but yeah, they got told no. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I think there's a loser leaves NXT. So I think the Creed brothers are probably going up to the main roster. So, Joe, your thoughts about these Creed brothers moving up and adding to the already filled roster of the WWE?
First of all, when you said that, I'm like, who? Apollo Creed's kids? What the fuck? I'm sorry, folks. I don't watch NXT. I try to limit my wrestling to pay-per-views so I don't damage my brain even more. As far as anything else, I can barely tell you who's whom in these, in this scenario. So when I mock people like, these people, I it's not because of anything. I just don't know them, and nor do I care to know them. Obviously they're probably being pushed to either the main roster or they're going to be rebranded under a different gimmick. So that's normally what happens in WWE, especially if you get in the wrong ire of Vince. So obviously this is probably something that they said, yeah, this, complain. And then next thing you know, they're going to La La Land. So
Well,
who knows, Rick? Who knows?
yeah, and history has proven, especially in the WWE, that a lose or leaves match doesn't necessarily you're leaving the company or, I mean, how many times do we see John Cena lose or leaves match and John Cena's back on TV literally the next day?
Yeah. I lost the
He
it's
wouldn't
loser leaves
stay
brand.
on, damn it. He wouldn't stay on.
It's loser leaves brand matches. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like.
But yeah, it doesn't really even matter. That's why when you brung it up, I'm like, who? What? What the fuck? What are they?
Well, it was one last topic of the night that I saw, and I wanted to bring it up. So
that's fine. Yeah, here's a topic for you. We need women with boobs to appear on the HWR Babe of the Day.
Hey, I try to do a good job, but there are a lot of other chicks.
Oh, you do a good job. I've seen some of the people. They're good. They just
I'll make sure to do the Babe of the Day with the big tits just for you, Joe.
Absolutely. There we go. That's what I want to see.
All right, everyone. So we're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I want to thank Terry 3G and Jake Slayer for coming on in. We're here every Wednesday night at 5 o'clock. To support HWR, please hit the like button and also subscribe to Hardcore Wrestling Rants. Also, if you want more of HWR, check out our Facebook page, Wrestling Rants, in the group section. Joe, you're with Skull and Realms. Tell everybody about it.
Well, guys, you can check me out. It is hashtag Skuldrin's Realm. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. You can also go to my website. It is skuldrinsrealm.com and also have skuldrinsrealms.live. You can just check me out on either one. I do games from yesterday to today, from consoles to PC. I'm going to be doing that. Also, this Thursday, I am going to be refilming my Skuldrin's Paranormal Realm. So it will be in Erie, Pennsylvania's Prescott area where we'll be bringing up the UFO incident that they had there years ago. And there is supposedly a path in there that has been said to have very evil spirits walking around and communicate. So we'll see how it goes. Again, check me out, hashtag Skuldrin's Realm. I'm on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
All right. Lance, you're at Lance Moss TV. What do you got going on over there?
Well, every Tuesday night we go live with Lance Moss TV and friends. We never know who's going to show up, and it's at 7:05 Central, 8:05 Eastern. Anywhere else, you do the math. Right. And since I didn't get a chance to, if anything we said offended you, it's joe@skuldrinsrealm.com.
No, it's called Fuck You. Don't listen then. Fucking snowflakes, motherfuckers. I can't wait for somebody to. Oh, well, no. I was going to say something.
Oh, Joe, we just lost a light. Thank you. Oh, God. Okay, I also want to give a quick shout out to our good friends, Mr. and Mrs. A, over at BC Games and More. They play a lot of old retro games. They do trivia, give out gifts, and a lot more. Again, you can find them over at BC Games and More in the Facebook. So, for the Hardcore crew, I'm your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying, we'll see ya when we see ya.
Buy this shirt!